Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and thank you to all our witnesses for coming to offer testimony today. I know we've had several hearings on the census, and some of you all have come and offered your expertise, and we thank you for that. I think after the past year of so many developments going on, particularly when it comes to the question on documented status on the census, there's a lot of havoc and confusion that has been unleashed in the electorate, which we know has really created a lot of fear in communities around one of the most important constitutional operations that we have to conduct. So let's clarify some things. Ms. Gupta, will the 2020 census ask people about their documented status or citizenship status?
It will not.
It will not. Is filling out the census safe?
It is safe and confidential.
And on that confidentiality, will an individual's personal information be shared from the 2020 census?
Federal law prohibits the sharing of census information with any other government agency.
So it is illegal for any of your individual information to be shared by the census, correct?
That is right.
And do we know how serious of a crime is it? Is it just kind of a misdemeanor, or is it very serious?
It is very serious. The federal law on this subject is very robust, in part because the consequences would be incredibly grave, but that would be very, very serious, a serious crime.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the potential outcome of not counting a community, right? So let's say I wanted to manipulate people's ability to return the census, or rather their willingness to return the census, kind of spook people out of it. Why would I potentially want to do something like that?
You may want to do it to encourage swaths of communities that are perceived to vote for one party or another to stay out of the census for political gain. You may want that to happen because you don't believe that certain segments of the community are deserving of the same social services as everyone else, but it is against the law and written into the Constitution that the duty of the federal government is to count every single person regardless of status.
So there is a potential political motive as to why somebody would want to undercount certain communities in the census.
Yes, I would say that the citizenship litigation and the Supreme Court found that even just the kind of impetus and motive for adding that question was motivated by partisan gain, and Dr. Thomas Hoffler's memos that were discovered in the course of that litigation unfortunately revealed that there was an effort to weaponize the census for partisan gain, when in fact it should be a core government institution and function that is free from politics.
So we have seen that there's a documented paper trail here that the desire to scare our immigrant communities out of answering the census is to help and add political gain to the Trump administration, and potentially along partisan lines, correct?
I would say that, unfortunately, we have some pretty concrete evidence of that being the case. Again, look no further than Thomas Hoffler's memo advocating for the addition of the citizenship question to advantage non-Hispanic whites.
Okay. And so let's see, let me move on. Mr. Vargas, I understand your organization issued a report last May from the National Latino Commission on the Census. Mr. Vargas, what did this report find about trust in the government and this administration among likely census respondents in the Latino community?
That commission, which was bipartisan and chaired by a member of the Miami-Dade County Board of Education and the Secretary of State of California, held 5 regional hearings throughout the country and heard testimony from community leaders that emphasize how just overall, not just among Latinos or immigrants, but overall in the American public, there is a growing mistrust of institutions, of contact with government, of submitting information online. These are all challenges that the Census Bureau understands that they're facing and are working to overcome, which is why the resources that they've needed for their communications campaign is so essential.
Thank you. And Ms. Gupta, very quickly, let's talk about the stakes here. If we don't answer the census, would that impact our school funding for our schools?
Absolutely.
Does it impact funding for our roads?
Yes.
Does it impact resources for our communities?
Yes.
So our kids, if we don't answer the census, our kids will not be able to have textbooks, teachers on the ratios that they need, schools that are being built. We also have I represent one of the most undercounted districts in the country, but also represent one of the most overcrowded districts when it comes to schooling. That, I'm sure, is connected as well, correct?
Yes, I mean, there are broad implications for how many teachers to students there are in any school district, healthcare, hospitals, roads, infrastructure. It has very real impact on real, actual living communities when people are rendered invisible or not counted in the census.
Thank you very much.